Hi, I'm Shuhei Tsuchida from Kobe University. Today, I'd like to talk about effects on separated learning of acquiring physical movement skills classified by level of difficulty. First, let me show you our proposed methods separated learning briefly. In the separated learning, the learners concentrate on the information presentation without performing any movements during the learning phase. After that, they just focus on performing movements. We expect that this method will allow learners to acquire movement skills more efficiently. Many previous studies claimed that giving information presentation, such as visual, tactile, or auditory information presentation in real time, helps people to learn physical movement skills, such as skipping, throwing a ball. For example, the system presents vibrations according to the timing of the jumping or making movements audible as feedback. However, the movement tasks often adapted simple movement tasks, such as skipping and finger tapping. When people run more complicated movement tasks, they would not get the expected benefit from the information presentation. For example, Nanazawa showed that the learning efficiency of skill acquisition did not increase even when running with rhythmic information presentation in an exercise that combines multiple movements, such as a throwing ball while skipping. Nanazawa reported that the effect of information presented while moving the body is smaller in running complex movements. Therefore, we assume that moving the body while receiving information presentation would consume our brain's working memory. Working memory is a function for handling other processing tasks in parallel, while temporarily storing the information required for various changing purposes. The working memory that we are describing here may be related to a different type of working memory related to movement than conventional working memory. There is a kind of memory consumed while acquiring movement skills apart from the conventional working memory. Here we expect that there may be a lack of working memory related to movement. In other words, there may be not enough processing capacity to handle the movement. To tackle the lack of working memory, we came up with the idea of separating the learning phases. The learning phase was divided into focusing on receiving feedback and moving the body. This separation could reduce the consumption of working memory, and the feedback would be more effective. In a previous study, our group proposed a separated learning method in which the learning phase is divided into two phases. One is a learn phase in which the learner concentrates on receiving information, and the other is a movement phase in which the learner only performs the movement. We have confirmed that this separated learning accelerates the skill acquisition of difficult complex movement, such as finger tapping accents. However, the previous study focused on the acquisition of finger tapping movements, and no study confirmed whether this separate learning is effective in acquiring complex movements using the whole body, such as dance. Moreover, in the previous study, the proposed support system for learning percussion performance techniques did not consider the difficulty level of phrases. For example, as the complexity of the acquired movement increases, working memory is not enough to receive feedback. So simultaneous learning, in which the learner performs the movement while receiving feedback, may not work well. Therefore, we still need to fully examine the difficulty level at which learning should be separated, and we may find a threshold that determines whether or not the separated learning should be applied depending on the difficulty level. Therefore, in this study, we constructed an information presentation system to acquire dance steps involving complex movements using a whole body. We investigate the effectiveness of the separated learning in the acquisition of dance steps. In addition, we will prepare multiple difficulty levels of the learning and aim to obtain a threshold for the effectiveness of separated learning. In this study, in the learning of dance steps, we compare the two methods, simultaneous learning and separated learning. To apply the separated learning, we now expect that it is necessary to receive multiple information rather than a simple information presentation. For example, in learning dance steps, simply watching a reference video while moving is not sufficient for applying the separated learning. Therefore, we add the information presentation by vibration other than video and audio. To implement both simultaneous learning and separated learning, we create a system that presents the timing and the moving part of dance step with vibrations. Specifically, we developed an information presentation system in which vibration presentation devices are attached to both feet at 4 locations, one above the knee to indicate when to raise the knee, and one on the instep to indicate when to kick the tooth forward. Let me show you a system configuration. The system constructs from a PC and a vibration device. The PC can set the timing of the vibration according to the dance steps. PC sends control signals from XB to the control device via Zigbee in time with the music, and the vibration device that the user wears vibrates in time with the music. XB is a wireless connectivity module. This system allows the user to know when to raise the knee or kick the leg. Let me show you the mounted device. The battery and main module are wrapped around the waist with a belt from which LEDs and vibration motors extend. The main module consists of Arduino and XB. The right side shows the device when a user wears it. By using the rubber band, the vibration device is fixed to each part. Here is the system demo. Music is played and vibrations are presented on the blinking part in time with the reference dance video. We expect this will help the user learn the dance steps more quickly. Using the device, we tested whether the separated learning can be applied to dance steps using the whole body and whether the effectiveness of the separated learning changes with the difficulty level of learning each step. We asked 12 university students to learn 4 dance steps. The learning methods were simultaneous learning with feedback during the movements and separated learning without feedback during the movements. These are the 4 dance steps that the dancers learned. They may look easy, but I think many inexperienced dancers cannot imitate these steps immediately. These dance steps become more difficult step by step. If you look at step 2, you will see the movement rhythms. has changed in the middle of the steps. Step 3 contains a stop, indicating that the rhythm is more complex, while including the movements of steps 1 and 2. Step 4 is the most difficult step, as the timing of the right and left foot movements are reversed in the middle. All participants studied all 4 steps. Before we started the experiment, we showed a video that had nothing to do with the dance steps to make the participants understand how the system works. Participants confirmed that they would receive feedback on when to raise their knees and when to kick out. Let me show you the learning method. First, in simultaneous learning, the participants perform a 1-minute running phase in which they perform a dance movement while receiving information. After that, they take a 1-minute confirmation test to check whether they have actually mastered the dance steps. During the test phase, the participants did not receive vibration information. In the separated learning, we asked the participants to concentrate on the information presentation without performing any movements during the learning phase. After that, they take the confirmation test in the same way as before. In this way, we compare simultaneous learning in which the participants move their bodies while receiving the information with the separated learning in which they do not move their bodies at all and concentrate on the feedback. To compare learning efficiency, we calculated the learning cost. For example, if the participant successfully performs the dance step in the first test, the cost is 1. If the participant successfully performed the dance step in the second test, the cost is 2, and so on. We define learning costs that add up in this way. We determined if the participants successfully danced as follows. As shown below, the 2 dancers watched the participants' movements and consulted with each other to determine whether or not the participant could successfully perform the dance steps. We thought that it would be difficult to construct a system that accurately judges whether or not the participants perform dance steps by using information obtained from acceleration sensors or motion captured. So we adopted the subjective judgment from a human evaluator with extensive dance experience. Okay, let me show you the experimental results. The left side shows the detailed scores for each participant, and the right shows the average scores for each learning method. The white cells on the left show the results of simultaneous learning, and the gray cells show the results of separated learning. We counterbalanced to consider the order effects. Unfortunately, the results did not show any significant difference between the learning methods. Next, we compared the learning costs for each step, considering the learning ability of each participant. As a result, there was no significant difference between the learning methods for each step. However, compared to the others, a different result was observed for step 4. Simultaneous learning costs less for some people, while for others, separated learning costs less. We believe that some people may benefit from separated learning. Okay, let me move on to the discussion session. We could not confirm significant differences in the effectiveness of separated learning for dance steps involving the whole body. or in the effectiveness of separated learning, depending on the difficulty level in mastering the movements. One possible reason for this is that the audio and video were unprocessed dance videos. So it is possible to increase the amount of information by adding feedback to these audio and video to consume more working memory. We suspect the existence of movement working memory, which is different from conventional working memory and represents the processing capacity to handle the movement. We believe that this movement working memory may be strongly related to whether or not separated learning should be implemented. However, it is not yet clear how to measure this movement working memory, and we would like to investigate its measurement method in the future. For example, we are considering a measurement method like this. First, we display a series of videos that anyone can imitate, such as the one on the lower left. The participants quickly imitate these movements. This cycle is repeated, and we count the number of movements the participant can imitate within a certain time. However, they can easily imitate the movements, so we expect that the score will change if the participants watch a reference video while moving. This is a summary. We developed a system to give information presentation for learning dance steps involving the whole body movements. We examined whether separated learning is effective in learning dance steps. The experimental results showed that there was no significant difference in the effect of learning dance steps between learning methods. We will investigate the structure of the system and the phase for applying the separated learning, and aim at finding the threshold of effects to apply the separated learning according to the difficulty levels of learning. Okay, thank you. That's all.